Hi, you guys. Welcome back. So, in today's episode, I do want to talk to you guys about how becoming a mommy changes you or how it changed me. Of course, I'm going to be speaking from my point of view. After you're done listening to this episode, I would absolutely love to hear your feedback. So please don't be shy to give me your experiences in the comments. I would love to hear if I'm the only person that feels that way or if somebody else experienced the same thing. So please give me your feedback. You can send me a DM on Instagram, but you can also, of course, comment down below and just get a discussion started just to hear what all the mommies got to say. However, I do want to start this episode off with a quote that I heard years ago. And that quote pretty much said, becoming a mom is the best and the worst thing that will ever happen to you. And so to kind of get into that a little bit deeper, when I heard that, I remember at first I was kind of like taken back. I was like, I don't know, that, sounds a little, I don't know, it sounds a little bad, like to hear that, being a mom or becoming a mom is the worst thing that has ever happened to you, right? However, I think if you have to look at the whole quote, and it says the best and the worst thing. And so today I will be focusing on how that quote fits and why I think it is very fitting and is describing the turnover to motherhood. And we're talking about the turnover, like the switch over, okay, to motherhood very, very well. Now, I do want to give off a trigger warning real quick because I do know that, there are a lot of women out there that do struggle with becoming pregnant or having kids or have maybe even lost a child, So I know that this is a very sensitive topic, and I most of all want to put a focus on the fact that I am very aware that I am extremely, extremely blessed that I was able to have 3 children that are healthy, that just God blessed me with the whole process of it all. So I want to put that out there and just know that I'm speaking from my own experience. I'm not trying to step on anybody's feet or anybody's toes. I'm not trying to hurt anybody with my statements. I'm just really trying to be honest and raw with you guys about that, because I don't think that, I think that a lot of mommyhood conversations are kind of like a no-no. A lot of people don't like to address certain things. And I think a lot of women are very ashamed of talking about certain things too. But I do think it needs to be talked about because it's very normal. And I wish when I was going through that, I would have had somebody that would have been like, girl, it is okay. That is normal. You're going to be fine. Okay. And that is really all that this podcast / video is supposed to be. We all have heard before, or at least I did hear a lot, even before I had kids or I even planned on having kids, this saying when people say a child changes everything. Your life is never going to be the same. And so, to be honest, for me, that was always kind of like a red flag. I hated hearing that because it terrified me. Now, I was always a woman that loved, I loved my hobbies. I have hobbies. I loved my hobbies. I always knew that being a mom was not going to be the only thing that I wanted to do in life. I always knew that being a mom by itself was not going to be fulfilling enough for me to only be a mom. Like I had a lot of hobbies. I like to take care of myself a lot. I like nice events, nice dining, nice clothing and stuff like that. So I always was aware that like this typical thought of the moms that we see, right? Like you a mom type of thing. Like I always call them moms, like the hardcore, I'm just a mom. And I just want to say this, like I have huge respect for women that solely, like they literally have a child and their whole world revolves around their child and they don't care for nothing else anymore. Like I don't care how I look. I don't care my weight. Like I don't care nothing. I just want my child to be okay. I have a huge respect for that because, for me, that thought of going there was always like terrifying because of who I was, because of who my hobbies were, because of honestly the type of moms I idolized. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely always wanted to be a great mom. Okay, me and my mom, we don't have the greatest relationship. And so I always knew that I never wanted my kids to kind of look at me from a standpoint of, my mom only cares about this, or she doesn't really care about that, or you know what I mean? Like, I really wanted to be that mom, but I also did not want to lose who I was. And hearing stuff like, oh my God, kids changes everything, like it just kind of made me very terrified of motherhood. And on top of that, I also grew up with a mom that would a lot of times, and I know now, she went through her own struggles, and I know that she had a lot of things she was dealing with herself, but she always made it clear that having kids was one of the worst things that she felt like has happened to her. I think she felt like after she had kids, her life was over. She couldn't follow her dreams anymore. She couldn't do what she wanted to do in life anymore. She was struggling a lot. And so deep within, although on one side I had this part of me that was like, I want to be absolutely nothing like that. But deep within, I still had those words, you know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, like life is going to be over. No. And so when I had my son, although I wanted him to come, he was planned, everything, I loved him to death. Don't get me wrong. Like, I still remember holding this little child in my arm the first night after I had him and just bawling my eyes out because I was so freaking grateful that God had gifted me with him. However, I had so much going on, and I was still like, I had my job, I was teaching dance classes, and my dream was always to make money with dancing. So I was like, I don't want to let that go. Okay. And in my mind, I was like, if I let that go, I'm going to lose myself. Like, I'm not going to be me anymore. That was my dream, and so just kind of working through the fears that she kind of installed into me over the years. So I wasn't able to enjoy or to jump as easily into motherhood as I should have. And I wish now I would have. Now, I know now that I just needed time to kind of get there. However, yes, you guys, having a child will change your whole life. Okay. I want to say that, like, you're going to lose a big chunk of yourself, and I'm not going to lie. It's going to be terrifying. It's going to be sad. Like, you're gonna grieve that part of you. Like, I would literally sit there sometimes and just be so sad because I'm like, I used to be able to do this, I used to be able to do that, but at the same time, and that is the crazy conflicting part, you get a new you, and I'm gonna say the you 2.0, right? You're going to get so much out of that experience. You're going to grow stronger. You're going to grow wiser. You are going to grow way more responsible than you have ever been in your life. You're going to learn how to discipline. You're going to learn structure. There's so many things that if you haven't had it to that point, a kid will force you, if you do parenting right, I'm going to say right, that a kid is going to enforce in your life, that is going to help you grow as a person, and is just going to freaking expose so many things within your side, in yourself. You're going to see, traumas that you had that you didn't work through, that you're now going to try to work through for your child. You guys, the level of growth that has happened to me after I had a child, and, then I had a second pretty shortly after, it's just crazy. However, again, it took me a second to get there. I had a lot going on during the time that I got pregnant with my son. And then my daughter followed like 2 years after, a little bit under 2 years after. So it was still a painful transition. And I do think that we don't really talk about that as a woman, it is perfectly fine to mourn the old you. You know what I mean? Like this, I'm getting up, I'm listening to music, I'm doing my makeup. I don't have to worry about, has this person eaten? Is this person clean? Did I change their diaper? You know what I mean? Like just the carelessness of it all. I think that alone is a big topic that we miss sometimes. However, for me, honestly, what has changed that, I used to live like in a city, and I'm not going to say it was not a big city life, but it was definitely city. And then I moved over to the countryside, right? And I remember when I first moved over here, like my son was, I received my son when I was here. But obviously when I had my son now, I had to start dealing with like the neighborhood and stuff, to where before I was working so much, I was hardly ever like around the people here. And, you know, you go for walks and you run into older people and stuff. And there's a lot of older people in the countryside, right? But they teach you so much wisdom, and they taught me so much wisdom and taught me so much about motherhood and family life, regardless of if they're recognized or not. But I remember, for example, you know, coming out the city, like I always wanted my son to be like dressed clean, and I never wanted him to get dirty and stuff, right? For example, or I didn't want him to be wild and stuff, you know, because again, when kids grow up in the city, they have to, it's a different type of vibe, right? Like kids are really being taught at an early age to just kind of be kind of mini adults. And I'm not judging that. I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong. I think both has its perks and stuff. But I do also believe, you know, we are adults. We know how freaking hard life is. So, you know, if you can allow your child to be a child, let your kid be a child. You know what I mean? Like they have to pull themselves together for the rest of their freaking life. And I remember, for example, being in conversations with somebody in our road, and my son would run around and be wild, and I'd be like, you know, like, stop, don't be so loud, no. And the older people just looking at me with this complete calmness and saying, you know, let him be. He's a child, you know, to where I was trying to keep him from annoying them, you know, while they were trying to tell me something or whatever. They were like, just let him be. Like, he's young, you know, he's a kid. Let him be a kid. And I noticed that in the countryside, and I'm incredibly grateful for being able to experience that. People are so calm when it comes to children. Like, they're like, let kids be kids. Kids are supposed to be wild. They're supposed to get dirty. You know what I mean? And so their wisdom that a lot of those older people have shared with me has really transformed the way I started looking at parenthood. Yes, you guys, you will lose a part of yourself. Absolutely. But you know what? The new part that you're going to get is such a freaking better version of yourself. And whenever I was able to finally let myself fall into that role 100%, you guys, the experience of being a mom is literally, there's nothing else in this world, you guys. What you get, and don't get me wrong, okay? Being a mom, you guys know, I have 3 little ones, okay? They run around me all the time, that I'm trying to organize their lives, trying to organize my life, and trying to organize the family's life. Like, it's a lot, okay? I feel sometimes like I'm running a multi-million-dollar corporate business, all right? If I had any doubts that I was not able to run my own business, trust me when I tell you, I know now I'm very capable of doing that alone because of everything that I have to do as a mom, right? However, you guys, it is stressful. It is very stressful. But you guys, the reward that you get for that is so freaking incredible that if you open yourself up to the experience and you really allow yourself to fall into that mom role, first of all, the feminine energy that you feel being a mom and experiencing pregnancy, childbirth, raising your children, running a household as a woman, right, is something, you guys, you cannot buy. You cannot buy that experience. You cannot, it literally overshadows all luxury events you can go to, all luxury purses you can own, all freaking travels you can do. That experience, you guys, is nothing. Nothing can compare to that. Another thing that helped me to kind of transition over was, again, I do talk to a lot of older women, and most of them broke it down to me like that. You now might get super stressed out when your kids are too loud. They run around the house. They make a mess everywhere they go, because we know they make a mess everywhere they go. They're kids. That's what they do, right? However, every older lady that is a mom, they all tell you the same. Let's say you live 80 years, right? I think the average age for women is like 82. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's about the early 80s. Now, let's say I live 82 years. I birthed a child, and that child is 18 years in my care. I'm just going to say that, right? Like most kids at 18, they are like kind of independent in a way, or they should be independent in a way to where they kind of, try to do most of their lives themselves. Now, they might call you for advice, or they might still even live in your house, but you know what I mean? Like, they're going to try to kind of do their own thing. They make their own decisions most of the time. And a lot of kids even start way earlier with that. So let's say, for example, like around 14, 15, I think most kids are kind of like, okay, mom, dad, like back off a little bit. Let me, grow up a little bit. Unless you have a very, very tight relationship with your kid, then you might kind of be able to get around that. But if you look at that, that is not even 1/4 of your life. Most older women that I've talked to, every woman that has kids themselves, they always tell me, listen, it's loud now, it's dirty now, you might feel annoyed now. But let me tell you, when you get older, you're going to miss those moments. You're going to miss those loud laughs. You're going to miss them running through your house. You're going to miss them making a mess, because you now clean your house stays clean. There's nobody there to mess it up, right? But those moments, you will forever mourn. And so, I don't know, but it got to the point to where some older lady around the neighborhood, and I really don't know who it was anymore, which is kind of sad, because she really opened my eyes. I understood, you know what? I need to embrace those moments now, because I recognized when I sit on the couch one day with my husband and we both, all the kids are out the house, I know I'm going to miss that. You know what I mean? Because even now, sometimes when one kid is gone, or two, or even all three, they're off to school and I'm alone in the house, I'm like, okay, like it's kind of nice and all, but it's very quiet, So I just learned to understand that I know, I'm grateful that God opened my eyes to that one day I will look back to those moments, no matter how stressful they are. And you can get up in the mornings and be like, oh my gosh, now I got to do this again and do that again and But you can also get up with a positive mindset, and you can literally train yourself to just embrace the positive side. And that's what I started to do. I was like, what a blessing it is. And a lot of it also had to do with self-healing, like I really had to heal myself first to be able to look at it like that and heal my wounds and the experiences I've made with my mom. And you know what I mean? Like there was a lot of stuff that I needed to deal with first to kind of be able to like look at it like that. And to also understand where some of my weird views about motherhood came. But, I now get up in the mornings and I feel grateful, you guys. I feel grateful, first of all, that I have 3 beautiful, healthy, smart kids. I feel grateful that they have beds and rooms where they can grow up, where they can wake up in at the in the mornings. I feel blessed now that I can fix my kids' breakfast. There's so many freaking kids that starve. You know what I mean? I felt grateful when my kids come and they're like, good morning, mom. And they give me hugs, and they're happy to see me. That is something that's, there's some women that lost their kids. You know what I mean? And I think when you change your mindset, you allow yourself to fully embrace it. Motherhood is such a freaking, oh my gosh, heartwarming and changing experience. It's going to turn you into a better woman. It's going to turn you into a better person. It's going to turn you into those kids, you guys. And I think I mentioned this before. They look at you at all times. My kids, especially my girls, imitate me all the time. Now, What does that teach you? You now got to be super careful about what you do, what you say, how you act, how you react to situations, right? Like somebody pisses you off in the street or so you can't, you know what I mean? Like you got to be like, And so the intention of parenting made me take a look at myself as a person. And you guys, when I tell you how I have freaking grown after becoming a mom is literally crazy. And I know there's no way I would have grown in the same way if God would have not blessed me with those 3 little angels. And I'm going to call them that. And I don't want to get emotional. I already filmed the German version. I got super emotional. So I'm going to hop to the next point. Okay. It was so important for me to talk about this topic because as I mentioned before, struggling with this can be very hard. And I think it is very easy to feel alone with that topic because a lot of moms, I think, kind of probably feel ashamed talking about it because, everybody's like, well, you're a mom now. You should be happy, and it's like, yeah, I am a mom and I'm happy, but there's also a lot of emotions that go on with that process of changing over from being, I'm Sarah and now I'm mommy, like that is a huge transition you're going through. And I think a lot of women, it's not really, when you have a baby, it's not very accepted. People look at you, they're like, ta-da, you're a mom now, be happy. And it's like, yeah, you can be happy, but you can still struggle with certain things. So it was very important for me to talk about this, to hopefully just help some women to kind of, first of all, understand you are not alone with this. It is totally normal to feel like that. And you're going to be okay, girl. Okay. Even if you struggle now, I promise you the time is going to come where you're going to be okay. Work on yourself. Try every day to do a little better than yesterday. Open yourself up. You know what? For me, honestly, there was a moment where I did not care how I looked, how my body looked, where I let everything else go. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on my children. I'm going to focus on what God put me here on this earth to be, okay? And I'm just going to embrace that fully. And when I've learned how to embrace that fully, then I can slowly start adding, whatever else is important for me. Because at the end of the day, you guys, kids give you so much. Your kids will open your heart in a way that nobody else is ever going to be able to open your heart. Like not your spouse, not your family, not your brothers, your sisters, not your moms, your dads, not your friends. Nobody, and I will repeat, nobody will love you the way your kids love you. They look up to you like you are the biggest star ever until you start destroying their picture. And it is really hard to keep that picture up, right? Because you have to work every day on yourself to be the best freaking role model you can be. But the amount of love, the amount of acceptance, the amount of care the kids will show you is going to inspire you and help you grow in a way that you never thought was possible. So when I tell you, open yourself up to this experience because it is literally the most fulfilling experience you will ever have. And even at times it feels stressful, it feels overwhelming, because it will. But overall, this is an experience that nobody else can ever make you feel like. And so, embrace it, take it in, make the best of it, be the best person for your kids that you can be. Lead intentional, teach your kids good values. Also, you have the chance now to create new, better humans for this world. You literally creating the next generation. It is up to you if the next generation does good, if they don't do good. If you don't like something about the people around you, teach your kids how to do better, So, yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that. That was my first episode, you guys. I really hope that, you took something from this. Again, please, to all the moms out there, put your experiences in the comments. I really, really want to hear if you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Even if you disagree with me, I want to hear the same. I want to hear your opinion, and I want to hear why you feel that way, you know? Other than that, I really hope you have a blessed start into the new week. May God protect you and your loved ones, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.